Jain friends, I'm Major Gauravani and you're watching the latest news of the day. India's External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar very recently, as recent as yesterday, visited Doha, the capital of Qatar. He met a lot of people there. Why did he visit? What was the reason for his visiting? Very recently he had visited the UAE. Everybody knows that UAE and Qatar don't get along well. But it's also a fact that 8 Indian Navy personnel, former Indian Navy personnel who were on death row, they were released and they were sent back to India honorably because of the direct, intervention of Prime Minister Modi, NSA, Mr. Ajit Doval, and also Dr. S. Jaishankar, the External Affairs Minister. Now, Dr. Jaishankar met Qatar's Prime Minister, Mohammed bin Abdul Rahman Bil Jassim Al Thani. That's a long name. And they focused on political ties, trade, investment, energy, technology, culture, and people-to-people ties. Dr. Jaishankar appreciated Mr. Al Thani sharing insights on the Gaza situation, so they had a discussion. We all know, ladies and gentlemen, what Qatar feels about Palestine. And, Qatar controls Al Jazeera network. So there are a lot of complications in that relationship. It's like an onion, layer upon layer upon layer. And the External Affairs Ministers also exchanged views on regional and global issues with Sheikh Mohammed, the Foreign Minister. So he met the Foreign Minister, he met the Prime Minister, and Prime Minister Modi had also visited Qatar from February 14th to 15th, 2024 and held discussions with Qatar's Emir, Sheikh Tamim bin Hamad Al Thani. This was the time when Prime Minister Modi had gone to inaugurate the BAPS temple in Abu Dhabi. So whenever somebody goes there, they come here also. This is what this tells me. The Prime Minister also went to inaugurate the BAPS temple. This was in Abu Dhabi. From Abu Dhabi, he comes to Qatar. And this is exactly what Dr. Jaishankar also did. He went to the UAE and from there he came to Qatar. Now, both countries have a history of friendly ties, minus an odd hiccup. And here is what is on the table, ladies and gentlemen. You have to understand what is on the table for both the countries. And I've got some statistics with me. I'll share that with you. India's bilateral trade with Qatar in 22-23 was 18.77 billion US dollars. Not very much, but given what Qatar's trade is with other countries, this is pretty healthy trade with Qatar. And so 18.77 billion US dollars, India's export to Qatar during that period of 22-23 was 1.96 billion only. India exported only 1.96, almost $2 billion, almost, while India imported from Qatar 16.8 billion US dollars. 16.8. So, this is almost like 10-12 times the trade imbalance. Qatar is the largest supplier of LNG, liquefied natural gas, to India. And in the year 22-23, from which all the data we have taken, is $8.32 billion, accounting for over 48% of India's global LNG imports. India's key exports to Qatar include cereals, mineral fuels, articles of iron and steel, vehicles and machinery. Qatar's major exports to India are LNG, LPG, chemicals, petrochemicals, plastics and aluminium. One more thing which is very, very important as far as Qatar is concerned, that, in Qatar, 90% of the population, that is what people tell me, and I've done my little bit of research also, that 90% of the population of Qatar is comprised of expatriates. So the Qataris themselves are a minority in their own country and they depend upon foreign talent, whether it's labor, whether it's managers, whether it's CEOs, right? Most of them are, in fact, a vast majority of them are foreigners. They've called Qatar their home. And the diaspora contributes significantly to India's economy through remittances and investments. Now, what are the implications for India's geopolitics? It's very important to understand and remember this. So, India tries to counter Chinese influence in the Middle East, in the richer oil-producing countries. That is number one. Number two is that, the GCC countries and Qatar, they don't get along very well. There was a time when Qatar was almost blockaded and Saudi Arabia, had sanctioned Qatar, and Qatar was in a very bad shape for that period of time. And all of them actually accuse Qatar of meddling in their internal affairs. They accuse Qatar of supporting militant outfits all over the Middle East, all over the Arab countries. That is what they accuse Qatar of doing. And China has been deepening its economic and political ties with countries like Saudi Arabia and the UAE. Dr. Jaishankar his visit is likely aimed at securing India's energy and trade interests in the region, as well as exploring new avenues for economic cooperation such as technology and infrastructure. This is very important because India is a growing economy. India is growing at 8% plus. And it has the largest population in the world, 1.4 billion and growing. India's energy needs are humongous, and India needs multifarious, outlets or many countries. We'll take oil from Russia, we'll take oil from Saudi Arabia, we'll take oil from the UAE. Qatar is welcome, anybody's welcome. We are buying oil from everybody because that is the kind of oil that we need. That is the kind of oil that we want for our economy, for our people. And we want cheap oil. And it's not going to happen if America keeps on saying that, no, you can't buy from this and you can only buy from that. Then that person gets to control the price, which is exactly what America wants. Here, India's outreach to the Middle East, this is important, including its engagement with Qatar, is part of a broader strategy to project India as a global power and the voice of the global South. This is very important, and by strengthening ties with the countries in the region, India is seeking to cement its influence and counter China's growing clout, which we've already discussed. One more very important factor, ladies and gentlemen, is India is buying Mirage 2000s from Qatar. This is a 12-jet deal. So these 12 jets are sitting in Qatar, right? They have significant engine life left, all right? And they're there sitting in Qatar, and they're fully armed. Weapons, ammunition, radar, EW, you name it, it's there. India already operates Mirage 2000, so for India it's very easy. If you're losing Mirage 2000 in the sense of if you've lost something to an accident or there are some faulty Mirages, you can always replace them, have additional forces, have additional Mirages, and 12 Mirages. These are absolutely like an off-the-shelf buy. When they agree upon a price, Indian pilots will simply go to Qatar, the government will pay the money, they'll fly off with these 12 Mirage 2000 jets. Mirage 2000 is manufactured by Dassault Aviation, ladies and gentlemen, the same company that makes the Rafale fighters. Is the same organization, the same company. This is one part, and then it also helps India to do a balancing act in the Middle East. So these countries, all of them, they're Muslims, and most of them are rich oil producing countries. The only thing is that they don't get along with each other. Right? Iran doesn't get along with the rest of the world. Qatar doesn't get along with Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia does not get along with Iran, but China says that you should get along with each other. It's a hodgepodge. It's a crazy mix. And India is a country there which gets along with everybody else. There is no country in the Middle East that calls India their enemy. Everybody, including Iran, everybody's friends with India. And I think this is what India is trying to actually leverage. India is trying to say that, hey, we are here as people who are genuine. We want to do business, we want to do trade, we want to do infrastructure, defense ties, you name it, India is there for you. So ladies and gentlemen, how do you like this video? If you did, press the like button. I'll be back again tomorrow with another fresh video. Till then, Jai Hind.